Hey everyone, welcome to the Fantasy Football Upside. I am Justin, co-host, co-founder of The Upside, and I want to say thank you for stopping by. Thanks for stopping by our Fantasy Football podcast and YouTube channel. I'm going to bring you another mock draft. I love doing these for you guys. We're going to mix it up a little bit. We're going to do a PPR this time, 12-team, and we're going to go ahead and get into it right now. Let me share the screen so you see what I'm seeing. And then, so when we go through here, we're going to do 2020 season, of course, PPR, snake draft, number of teams, 12. And let's go ahead and randomize that draft position. 7th. Okay. You know what? Actually, in a PPR league, Kyle and I are part of the Quarantine Community League, and we actually are at the 7th position. So that's really cool. We'll see what we can get out of this one as well. So we're just going to do, on this one, we're going to do a standard one QB, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 1 flex, normal flex, wide receiver, running back, tight end, 1 defense, 1 kicker, and 6 bench. We're going to go ahead and leave the defense and kicker in there just so we can let other people draft kickers and defenses a lot earlier than what we will. So, and what we're going to draft against, we're going to go ahead and draft against just everybody right here on the ADP. I think if you just hit the composite ADP, you should be good to go, but I just want to make sure we're all good. One thing, we're using Fantasy Pros, and Kyle and I are both big proponents of Fantasy Pros. We like it because you can actually set up your own cheat sheet, which is really cool. So if you've had your own, Excel file or, Google Sheet or anything like that you've gone through and edited and everything like that, you can just copy and paste right into this cheat sheet creator, and it's pretty awesome. And they'll do the work for you when it comes to that. So, and when it comes to pick clock, we're going to do 60 seconds. Let's get through this. We can knock this out pretty quickly. So let's go ahead and start our mock draft. I'll go through some of these picks as we go, of course, because I'll be going through, I'll be talking out loud, and we're going to, we'll mix it up. Maybe I'll do things a little different than what I usually do when it comes to kind of these drafts. I just want to kind of mix it up for you guys. So keep it entertaining for all of us. So let's go to the draft board real quick here. And we got McCaffrey, Saquon, Michael Thomas, Ezekiel, Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook. I probably won't be reading these off all the way throughout the whole draft because I would get a little long, but just looking at what we got so far. And on the left, you could see my cheat sheet, my draft board, and then we got suggestions in the middle. I think it kind of combines what I have and what the computer thinks. And then the right is the draft log itself. So first suggestion on here, we only got 20 seconds already. So Devontae Adams is the first choice. I have Julio and Devontae next to each other. And actually with my more updated kind of cheat sheet, it's probably going to be Devontae over Julio. So let's just go ahead and draft Devontae now. I think he's going to be in an offense. Yes, it's more run heavy, but he is the number 1 option on there. He had a 31% target share last year, and I think that's going to maintain absolutely. So up next, so kind of funny. They want me to draft Aaron Jones, but I just drafted Devontae Adams. I don't mind, having the same players on the same team when it comes to, wide receiver, running back, or wide receiver, tight end. I don't like to have wide receiver, running back, of course. I mean, unless you have a handcuff, but I don't really believe in the handcuffs. But not this early. Not this early when it comes to Devontae and Aaron Jones. So after that pick, we had some more wide receivers, a lot more running backs kind of come off the board. It is Aaron Jones is my top choice on here when it comes to my draft board. And then Mike Evans, Josh Jacobs. And I'm kind of leaning towards Josh Jacobs because they keep mentioning how they're going to use him more in the offense when it comes to receiving. So let's count on what John Gruden is saying, and let's go ahead and draft Josh Jacobs. Sorry. Can't talk today. Let's see what came off the board and the draft board. It's like we had some more running backs. A couple tight ends came off the board. Our first quarterback came off the board. A few more wide receivers and running backs. So some suggestions. Juju, Chris Carson, OBJ, Leonard Fournette. I actually have, let's make this pretty easy. I have Juju as my next best ranked player. Yes, Deontay Johnson is definitely improving. He had a great rookie year last year. I think if Big Ben is back behind center, I think he's going to have another good year. Big Ben's shown that he can actually carry about 3 fantasy relevant wide receivers, and Juju's the number one wide receiver. Usually you don't see that too many, slot wide receivers be the number one unless you're Chris Godwin, of course. So let's just go ahead and pick up some Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm going to take a drink real quick. All righty. So we're in the 4th round already. Let's look at the draft board. Nice little string of wide receivers come off the board. A couple more tight ends and some more running backs. I was kind of hoping maybe Leonard Fournette might fall to me here, but he didn't. So suggestions, I'm actually going to kind of go off, not off of this. I mean, he's my last suggestion on here, and that's David Johnson. Yeah, there's a little bit of risk of course with him when it comes to injury, but they gave a lot of work to Carlos Hyde last year, and I don't think I'm going out on a limb and saying that David Johnson could be a superior talent than Carlos Hyde. I mean, you trade DeAndre Hopkins with some picks for David Johnson and some higher picks, but Billy O'Brien's probably going to need to try to, hey, I need to, make sure I let everybody know, hey, there's a reason why I traded for David Johnson. He's good. So I think they're still going to use him a lot. I think Carlos got like 270 plus touches or something like that. And David Johnson's more talented. And so he may get that just as many as those. I keep hitting the cheat sheet, which we'll probably come to that as well. But go back to the draft board. Let's see what happened. We had some more wide receivers come off the board. Cortland Sutton, kind of fading a little bit on Cortland and DK and Keenan, because I actually like Tyler Lockett a little bit more than DK. Darn. DJ Chark came off the board. I like DJ. I think Kyle and I both like DJ a lot. So going off suggestions here, they have Jarvis Landry at the top. If you look over my draft board, hey, guess what? I have Jarvis Landry as my number one option when it comes to my draft board. And it's all based off volume. Everybody thought that Jarvis's production was going to come down ever since they traded for OBJ. And it actually kind of maintained, and he out-caught OBJ. And I think it just has to do with the chemistry he does have with Baker Mayfield, and I think that's going to continue. A lot of mouths to feed on that offense, but in a PPR, I think he's still going to get the volume that we're looking for. We need to take a look at our roster here, see where we're at. So let's look at a roster with 2 running backs. We have Josh Jacobs, David Johnson, wide receivers, Devontae Adams, Juju Smith-Schuster, Jarvis Landry. Man, I like those a lot for a PPR league. Not going to lie. So draft board, another tight end came off the board. I'm going to kind of probably wait on tight end. Some more wide receivers. Devin Singletary, 5th round. That's a little off in my book. So suggestions, we have Dak at the top, David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, Raheem Mostert. I'm still not looking at quarterback here in the 6th. I mean, we can still find some good value quarterback a little bit later. I like David Montgomery, and it's all based off volume. I mean, that is, volume is king in this, in fantasy football, and all signs are pointing to him getting the lion's share of work. We, of course, would like to get a few more targets. That's why I actually have PPR minus on him, but I think it's still a good value here in the 6th round to get David Montgomery. Let's see what came off. So we had Raheem Mostert is available, Ronald Jones, Kareem Hunt, Cam Akers. That's what's on my side here. Let's go to the draft board. Wow, that's probably the earliest I've seen Hayden Hurst come off the board, and that was in the 7th round. So that's a little interesting for me. So, man, a lot more tight ends. I'm cool with that. You know what? I'm going to wait a little bit, let everybody else draft, some tight ends and some QBs as well, as you see. And I'm going to be sitting pretty because I'm still going to have a good amount available to me when it comes to wide receivers and running backs. Raheem Mostert's there, Ronald Jones, Kareem Hunt. You know what? They reworked Raheem Mostert's contract a little bit to get him a little bit more money. And, let's just go ahead and draft Raheem Mostert because, he may not be as valuable in a PPR, but I think he's still going to be valuable. and that's a pretty good running back to kind of have in your your first person on your bench. So we might be looking at maybe some more wide receivers here come down the line, because it looks like my draft board looks like I got a lot of running backs available, because I'm sure a lot of wide receivers came off the board. We had a few more. It's kind of hoping Marvin Jones would come back around to me. I do like him a lot. So let's look at suggestions. Matty Ice is the number one. We're in the 8th round here. I might be able to wait another round for him. Ronald Jones is still available. He's my 63rd best player, and we're at number 90 overall. I don't need a running back, but you know what that means? I mean, based off my draft board, I don't really have too many other, high-end wide receivers still hanging out there for me. So let's just go ahead and do that. At wide receiver, my suggestions here: Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate. The wide receiver room for the Giants is a little unpredictable, but when it comes to PPR, Sterling Shepard does get a lot of work. He doesn't give you a lot of yards per catch, but he gets you a good amount of catches. And in PPR, that's kind of what you're looking for. Of course, you want yards and touchdowns, but Sterling Shepard's pretty good in a PPR. So let's go ahead and get him. That's pretty good be on your bench, Sterling Shepard, because he very well could finish as a number one wide receiver in that Giants offense. You just don't know. Not going to draft Golden Tate, I can tell you that. But let's look at the draft board, see if anything crazy is going on. We're in the 10th round already. Wow, we're flying right through this, guys. Some more running backs came off the board. A few more wide receivers, but nothing really too crazy. So let's look at our all suggestions. And Carson Wentz is still available in the 10th round, and so is Drew Brees. Man, let's see what I have as my QBs. Okay, I have Carson at 9, Drew Brees at 10. Here's the thing, though. I may be actually leaning more towards Drew Brees now. I'm going to probably update these rankings. When the games that he was active, Drew Brees, he was the number 2 QB. And then he went ahead and added Emmanuel Sanders in this offense, and I really like him as a wide receiver, too, because they just haven't really had that reliable wide receiver, too. So more options. Drew Brees, come on down. Darn, I was hoping Jared Cook would go ahead and fall again. I don't think he did. No, he still is available. I don't think I have a tied in yet. And, the only thing about Jared Cook is the possibility of a lack of targets, but he still caught a lot of touchdowns. And I think they're just going to keep throwing it in this offense. And, there's no reason not to keep throwing it to Jared Cook, and especially at ADP at 97, we're at 127 overall. We do need a tight end, and it'd be kind of cool to kind of stack Jared Cook and Drew Brees. So let's go ahead and do that. And after this one, we're going to go ahead and take a look at a roster, see if we need anything else, see what we're looking at, or we're just going to add some depth here. All right, so at QB, Drew Brees. Running backs, we had Josh Jacobs, David Johnson, David Montgomery, Raheem Mostert, Ronald Jones. That is a talented running back room. At wide receiver, Devontae Adams, Juju Smith-Schuster, Jarvis Landry, Sterling Shepard. So kind of probably need a little bit more depth at wide receiver right now. I mean, they're not bad. I mean, they're really good wide receivers, but I like to kind of keep it at 6 and 6 when it comes to wide receivers and running backs. So, based off my rankings, I have Deshaun Jackson still up there. I mean, boy, this guy he came out like a rocket right out of the season. A couple touchdowns in that first game, and then he had a abdominal injury. He tried to play through it. He couldn't do it. Yes, they drafted some running back or wide receiver. They drafted Jalen Reagor, but I think Deshaun Jackson is still going to be a really good wide receiver. And as long as he can stay healthy, I mean, heck, we were in the 12th round, and we got a guy that can really boom for you. So that doesn't sound too bad for me. So let's take a look at. We haven't looked at the draft board in a little bit. We had another run on QBs. I mean, guys, wait on QB. I mean, we had Carson Wentz, Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford come off the board, and it wasn't until the 12th round. That's incredible. So let's go ahead and take a look at some suggestions here, and also our draft board. We got Brashard Perriman at the top here at 126 overall, and he's still available. And I like to add another wide receiver. Perriman came out of nowhere when it comes to last year. Didn't come out of nowhere when it came to the real draft. I mean, he's a first-round pick, and he busted out until last year with Tampa Bay. And the Jets signed him to a 1-year, I think it was like $8 million contract. So they're not long term with him, but that just means he needs to step it up and get you a big contract. That's probably why he only got a 1-year contract. So let's go ahead and get him right here. That's another person we can add to our wide receiver room and still be looking pretty good. So real quick, we still don't have a defense. We don't have a kicker. We need one more bench spot. So at this point, we're just kind of having a good time. You know, we don't need our QB. We don't need our tight end. We're good. You know, if for some reason Jared Cook just busts out, we can find another tight end with decent value. I mean, heck, you see it right here. Jack Doyle and Blake Jarwin still available. So let's look at 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6 for wide receivers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we kind of went a string of wide receivers. So, Darrington Evans is still available. Darrington Evans caught a lot of balls in college, and that's one thing Derrick Henry doesn't do. So I think that's really good. It says ADP 187, but I like drafting rookie running backs. They seem to perform. Let's grab Darrington Evans, put him on our bench. What do you say, in a PPR league? Heck yeah. So now we're in the 15th round. So yes, we are kind of looking at our defense kicker. So let's look at our defense, Vikings, Broncos. Let's see what kickers have come off. Will Lutz is still available. I kind of like that. I think it's one of those things where I don't mind drafting the kicker first before the defense, as long as it's your last two picks. I mean, New Orleans Saints are going to be a high-powered offense, and I kind of stack them a little bit. You don't think of a QB stack with a kicker stack, but for some reason we're not getting in the end zone. We're getting Will Lutz, so let's go ahead and draft Will Lutz and see what kind of defense kind of falls to us. I think we're still going to have a nice choice of defenses. Yep. I was wondering if Broncos is going to be one of those ones. I'm actually a lot higher on the Denver Broncos. And you can see my Colts pick, a little bit of a homer kind of pick, but I think with the addition of DeForest Buckner, that's going to be a really good defense this year. And the first few games are pretty good for the Colts. But for Denver, I'm looking at Bradley Chubb coming back from injury. You saw a pretty big dip in Von Miller's stats last year. And I think a lot of it has to do with, he's getting a little longer in the tooth, and he didn't have Bradley Chubb for all the season. I think he was out after week 4 or week 5, so it was pretty early. So another thing I like to see, and that's really cool about Fantasy Pros, is the number 5 straight the schedule for defenses. So let's go ahead and draft Denver Broncos defense, and let's see how we did. Fantasy Pros, sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. They give me a B+. You know what? That's not too bad when it comes to a PPR league and kind of moving right through this. So I got the premium function of the Fantasy Pro, so that's really cool. I like to see that. So we're looking at overall 1, 2, 3, 4th overall. That's not too bad. It doesn't like my starters as much as my bench. They love my bench, so I get it. If you look at let's look at the poll of 45 experts. 3rd, high bench, lower on the starters. You know what? Let's just look at my cheat sheet. Oh, imagine that. Number 1 overall. And let's see how well I do when it comes to all of my rankings. So let's look at my final roster here. Drafting out of the 7 spots. At QB, I have Drew Brees. Running backs, I have Josh Jacobs, David Johnson in my starting lineup, as well as David Montgomery in my flex. At wide receiver, at Devontae Adams, Juju Smith-Schuster, Jarvis Landry, really good wide receivers for a PPR league. Jared Cook as my tight end. That's a little off. It's one of those things where let's see if any other tight end kind of booms out there. Blake Jarwin has a really good opportunity of booming this year. So defense, I have Denver Broncos, kicker Will Lutz. On my bench, Raheem Mostert, Sterling Shepard, Ronald Jones, Brashard Perriman, Deshaun Jackson, Darrington Evans. No wonder everybody loves my bench, because that is a solid bench. And I think they're fading my my starting lineup a little too much, in my opinion. I think that's a pretty good starting lineup. I get a lot of running backs that are interchangeable right here. For some reason, David Johnson just isn't that guy, or isn't ready yet to begin the season. I can roll Raheem Mostert or Ronald Jones out there, and they're the best running backs on their teams. So that's what I have. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. If this is what kind of information you liked, I love doing these mock drafts. It's pretty cool. I went through pretty quick on this one. I wanted to kind of get you guys in and out, and I know that's kind of what you're kind of looking for. So if you have any questions, definitely leave some comments down below. If you haven't already, subscribe. Hit that bell, hit that like button. Kyle and I, we love doing this. We have a good time doing this, but we want to make sure that you all are doing that. And the way we know that is by views, is by subscribes, is by likes. So we want to see as many as possible. And let's have a conversation down in the comments. We'll respond to you guys. At this point, we'll definitely respond. So other than that, thanks for hanging out with me. And let me know if you have anything else, but take it easy, everybody. Have a good one. Thank you.